This is SoftBank Latin America Fund 2. That's what, now 8 billion you've put to work in this area. What has so surprised you about the region?
So first, thanks for having me here. It's a bit strange to do a live interview.
I know, so nice.
We've all gotten used to Zoom. Latin America is an exciting journey for SoftBank, and it started when I was living in Japan with Masa, and we were investing to the tune of $1 billion a week on our SoftBank Vision Fund. And my big frustration was never seeing Latin American entrepreneurs. So we decided to go and explore and see what was going on. And our hypothesis was that, first of all, it's a market that needs disruption because pretty much everything doesn't work well, it's broken, so technology can fix a lot of things. And our theory was that there was a high quality of entrepreneurs, high quality of companies, but the problem was lack of capital. And when we landed in Latin America in 2019, the total venture technologies were in the tune of $1.5 billion. So we decided to launch a $5 billion tech fund, which was the first one. And we thought it was going to take us 5 years to deploy capital, but with first 2 years we invested to the tune of $2.6 billion, and the third year alone we're going to invest $5 billion. So this is why we needed to create fund number 2. What has surprised us the most, the quality of entrepreneurs in Latin America is as good as any part of the world. The business models that have been deployed in China, in India, in the US are starting to boom in Latin America. So I think it gives us a competitive edge that we have seen what is the art of the possible in other markets, and now we see those high quality entrepreneurs basically launching these great companies. And so far we have deployed about, as of last quarter, about $3.5 billion in capital. The returns have been exceptional. It's a 105% IRR in local currency and a 90% IRR on a gross basis in US dollars. So it makes it one of the best performing funds in SoftBank and definitely among a lot of the venture funds. So based on that, we've seen that the need for venture capitals, or as we like to call it, vision capital, is needed in Latin America. And this is why we've decided with Masa to basically double down in the region just to fulfill the investment needs for this year. This year we plan to deploy $5 billion in Latin America.
Sort of build it and they will come, though, because you've done it, and now a lot of other people are putting money to work in the area. Do you think valuations are as appetizing as they always were?
No, I think valuations is always a hot topic, and the type of growth that we're seeing in our Latin American portfolio companies is magnificent, is great. So therefore, we believe that valuations are right on or where they should be. And you're seeing a lot of growth. You're seeing Latin American companies IPO in the US. We had one of our portfolio companies, Vitex, IPO a couple of weeks back. They're worth $5 billion today. And my prediction is next year will be the most important year in Latin American histories of IPOs. We expect a lot of IPO activity from Latin American technology companies in US markets next year.
How long do you remain committed to the companies? Because I know that this fund will allow you to be private and public purchasing. Vitex, now is that another couple of years that you remain with the business? Do you have any sort of guidance on that?
I mean, the way we like to think is our Latin American fund is different because we are a single LP, right? We're SoftBank, so therefore we have no rules in terms of how long should we hold an investment, how small an investment should be, private, public, and so on. So the combination of close to 50 companies we have invested, we have public companies, we have private companies, we have seed investment, we have early stage, we have growth, we have advanced, we have digital transformation. We made a large investment into Televisa, Univision merger, as we plan to launch an over-the-top to compete with Netflix just in the speaking Spanish language. So that's the beauty of our Latin American fund, and we're able to invest in anything related to technology. So, every time we have a public company, we look at it like any other private investment, and we look at what is the potential growth of that company in terms of, growth of their business and growth of potential valuation, and we look at it and we'll hold it. SoftBank is well known for being patient capital. So we're good in terms of holding investments for as long as we believe they're going to break or minimum, 30 to 35% IRR.
What type of exits? Does it matter to you whether it's an IPO or whether it's a SPAC?
It doesn't. I mean, we also launched our SPAC in Latin America, and we are carefully selecting a potential merged target. So it really doesn't matter. I mean, obviously, we want to make sure that the company is going to be a great company before they go public, and we want to make sure they're ready for the public market. And so far, so good. I mean, we've had a couple of IPOs, I think a great success story is, we invested in a public bank in Brazil, Banco Inter, which, we invested at a valuation of $2 billion when it was a small digital bank. And fast forward, today they're a bank, they're the leading insurance marketplace, and they're the first, I would say probably one of the most advanced banks in the world in terms of that now it's a marketplace of e-commerce. So people come in because they're their bank, but then they immediately link to different e-commerce sites, and the transaction get financed on the spot. So while the whole world is raving about buy now, pay later, that's been going in Brazil for 30 years. And so it's great. I mean, and today Banco Inter's, if I'm not mistaken, the market cap is over $10 billion. And a couple of years ago, it was 2. And we've seen an incredible growth, not only in the number of digital customers they attract, but also on the expansion of products. They recently bought a fintech in the US. So it's fascinating to see a Brazilian bank come in to serve Brazilian customers in the US. So as you can see, by my passion and my excitement, I am in love with everything that's going on in Latin America in the tech ecosystem.
What about closer to home here in the US? And WeWork, of course, a company you've been very much intimately acquainted with, and a company that's looking to exit via SPAC. And are we understanding that's now going to be in the Q4? Is it going to be October? What do you think of that process at the moment?
I think we're relatively close to that. I mean, WeWork is a fascinating story of a company that I became the executive chairman exactly 2 years ago. And I'm getting ready to do a town hall tomorrow morning with all the WeWork employees. And I started looking at, what the press thought of WeWork 2 years ago, what the employees, what the landlords, what the customers, and what a remarkable change that has been. I mean, WeWork today is, a couple of months ago, we had higher sales. Now, prior to the pandemic, we had our highest net sales ever in the history of the company. And I think that the value proposition, the vision that was set up to provide a flexible workspace, a hybrid workspace, now is more important than ever with the uncertainty of return to work that nobody really knows what's going to happen to the future of work. But what we do know is that it's going to be a different type of work that's the one we're used to. And flexibility will be the most important part that employees are looking for. Flexibility of how many days I come to work, flexibility of where do I go to work. And I'll tell you, one of my biggest satisfactions in WeWork has been, we call it the Uberization of real estate. We basically grab our spaces, and in the old times you had to buy a car. Now you basically ride an Uber for a ride. Yeah. And you can go to WeWork today and you can rent a desk or a conference room by the hour at any of our close to 1,000 buildings all over the world. And it's amazing the amount of adoption that you have, that people are coming in by the hour, by the day, by the week. And it's been fascinating. And we made some bold projections, and the projections are, for sure, within the next 12 months, WeWork is going to be a profitable company. Yeah. And go back and to ever think of that 2 years ago when we had multi-billion dollars of losses, it's great. And I'm proud of Sandeep, the CEO that I hired. And I'm proud of the team because this is a remarkable turnaround that's in the making.
I mean, you're known as a turnaround king. That was proved with Sprint, with building businesses as well, with your previous entrepreneurship. You're also known as a deal maker, having seen how Sprint and T-Mobile worked. Nvidia Arm, is that a deal that's going to go through, do you think, from your perspective?
I mean, obviously I can't comment. What I know is that Arm is an incredible company. And Arm, the value of Arm is very important as it occupies, I would say, one of the most important parts as you build a mobile phone that we carry or anything that's mobile. So I think it's just a great company. And as you know, as I did the Sprint and T-Mobile merger, one of the most important things is to never comment until the deal is done. But we have a lot of faith that this is just such a great transaction. So hopefully it'll get done. And if it doesn't, Arm has a bright future ahead.